Okay, hi. So, what we've got going for this week, for some of you've already done this, but some of you haven't. Here's just a simple little Shirley Trevina drawing. Well, I mean, my copy of it. Okay. Uh, Here is a slightly more complex one. Uh, the thing that gets you to notice about this is it's a fairly simple flower. With a glass vase. I did trace it with a colored, yeah, a colored watercolor pencil. So there's a little bit of extra color here along the edges that's bright instead of duller like a pencil would normally do. I'm still figuring out whether I like that or not, and I haven't decided. But I did like where it bled here on the leaves and did some little things, so that was kind of fun. I've decided that, sometimes the water-soluble graphite is just too dark. So I thought these watercolor pencils would be fun, and that's a Trevina thing that she does too. So I thought we would go with that. Here's a couple of little flowers I just copied out of a magazine. So I'm suggesting, here's some more out of a magazine. I'm just suggesting doing some little things like this as just sort of a warm up. And also, these might be something I cut out and collage into something that I paint from. And part of that is just about getting your confidence up, really. So you will notice that this has a very dark area here. That's pretty dark there. We have some whites. We'll call those whites. They're almost whites. We have some midtones. That's a lighter midtone. And then we have a real strong dark there. Like I said, a dark here. So the thing is that these are all simple. In the background, these are all just simple, flat, decorative shapes with a little bit of texture in them. This has got some texture. This one has quite a lot of texture. And I have warned you about texture before. This is probably pushing texture a little too far, or at least don't go any further than this, any higher contrast than this in your texture. I think this side is much better. Or, even this has a certain amount of interest going on in here. Okay, so, yeah, and you don't have to do a flower. And by the way, I will have copies of this in case you want to trace something or have something to look at. But one of the things I'm going to want you to do is to get some of these simple, flat shapes in here, or almost flat. Look at these two bowls. They have some value change, but they don't really show the real shape of a bowl at all. So you can do that, but it's not necessary. And to a degree, you lose part of your design as you become more three-dimensional. You lose some of your some of the strength of your design, like in here. So I kind of like some things kind of flattened out because I just think they have more punch to them. Okay, so I picked this up. And you could bring something like this to class, but you don't have to bring flowers. One woman brought some attractive, very fancy pins in a little jar. It's perfect. You don't have to do this. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I want to leave this one out because I've got a really interesting shape thing going on here and this nice little dealie there at the top. So you're not going to be able to see this from the same angle that I'm looking at it, where I'm looking at it. So sorry about that. I have got here I've chosen to use an olive green watercolor pencil. And what I've sort of added to my repertoire here is I have an olive green, which I think is just all around utility watercolor pencil. It'll be dull and quiet, but it won't be black and it's not just dead gray. So I think it's very effective. I've got a bright blue, you know, a mid-tone bright blue. A dark blue, well, that's going to be a lot like the olive green, but not quite as good. So the bright blue is supposed to show up. And this dark pink, they're calling it, well, I don't know what they're calling it, nothing. But this kind of dark pink is kind of what I've got happening here that I liked. And I thought that was fun. So that's just 3 colors. And those are the ones I would suggest you get. But you probably will see something that excites you more. So go for it. So I'm just going to draw this off. And it may not be the best drawing in the world. But let's just, gee, I want to get all this in a vase in too. I'm going to have to make this pretty small. Well, what's happening here is I need a paper towel because I'm getting the same thickness of line everywhere. And you know I don't like that. Okay, so I'm just going to, I had stuck my pencil in the water. So now I've dried the pencil off. Now let's see if I can find the same thing I was working from. I don't even know which one I was doing. Okay, maybe it was this. It could have been this. You know, I didn't do something that accurate. Oh, well, that's a strange shape. It'll work. Well, let's add a little more water to this. So these soften a little bit faster than the, oh, it's hard to draw and talk. These soften a little bit faster than the water-soluble graphite. Okay, just dipping in the water just a little bit and just barely blotting on the tissue. Okay, let's see. You know, I think, maybe that's where the way I had it. I don't know. You know, it's not all that important. So, okay, well, I'm going to have to move a stem because it's not going to fit on the page. A little extra water here so I'll get a little thicker line somewhere. Okay. Off of this comes this thing that's got all these green buds on it. And I'll put one other flower on here. Oh, gee. Okay, it would be... I'll do one like this, just a real simple one. Oh dear, it'd be better if I had 2 stems in here, I think. Okay, let's do some of these little buds. And that's good to have this running right on off the page. Okay. Make that line double thick. There we go. Let's add a little more. Oh, am I covering up my drawing? I guess I was. Okay, there. This is not the most brilliant drawing. I didn't intend to have these all exactly opposite each other, but I did it. I really intended to have this little thing coming around over here, but I didn't do that either, did I? Okay, so we got some long leaves. And some of these shapes, they kind of twist around, so you see how I crossed that right there? Okay. Oh, gee, and do we do one more? I guess we do. There. There it is, and I suppose that this is the bottom of a vase. And how do I want to shape that vase? Oh, gee, any which way. You decide. Oh, well, I better spread it out there, hadn't I? Well, that's far from perfection, isn't it? It's far, far, far from perfection. It's going to work just great. I hope, because this is the video. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put these other shapes in here. I really, really like these shapes. You don't need those dots. You know why I put those dots there? Because I got this table, oops. I got this table further out than I wanted it. I wanted it tucked in a little closer down here. Whoa, well, that's a little different there. And what could be in the background? This was a kind of a vase shape I made. She had a little different, some other kind of shape. And, you know, I don't really, really care, except I need to make a shape. Maybe I'll paint a little while first. Okay. Okay. I ordered some more of these plates. You can't have too many of these plates. I think these are perfect, even if you don't use that round palette like I do, which would be fine. I think these are just perfect for mixing. They just suit the way I work perfectly. And maybe, you know, if you have something different, you may it may actually change the way you work. So this really suits me, but I've also kind of, my style maybe has developed to fit the palette too. Who knows? Okay. Let's move the pencils and move this in a little closer. Let's see what we got here. So I've got some, you know, green pencil here, and I did not do something to, you know, I could have spritzed this. Which I sort of recommend you do, but I didn't. Okay. But see, that doesn't give you that black, which I really like the black, the black pencil, but there are times when maybe that's not really quite what you wanted. And these are actually, because these are white ones, these are actually kind of greenish. So, I may just go with that again. It doesn't mean that I am filling it all in nicely. In fact, I'm not getting that super wet. It doesn't spread quite as much as the black pencil. One thing that I had noticed was that some of you were getting really some heavy black lines that were... it was hard to get enough color in between them. So, see, I skipped some areas in here. You see how blobby that is and stuff? Oh, well, let's just do this too. Here. Whatever. And some of that may bleed later, and some of it may kind of do bleedy, funny things now. And then I've got this great texture because the pencil gets really soft when it's wet. So if you don't press down hard, which I don't, then you get some texture and you get some variation. Look at these really dark areas I got here, and then these lighter areas. And what I could do too, if I decide that I would like a lost edge that I don't have, this might be a good time to come in and just do a little of this. This magic sponge, if maybe I wouldn't do that in the middle of a face, but here it really is not going to damage the paper enough to make any difference. Like I said, some places it might be a problem, but for the most part, not. So, see, I can make a few like little lost edges here on my white flowers. I kind of like that. I really didn't need to lose edges on that table. It's going to come right back. So I've got that. You notice, see, I just used a teeny bit of that, and then you just throw it away. Maybe I'll give it a blot just so that we can get down to business faster. All right, so now I've got to dry this. So I was going to show something that I've never finished, but I ought to finish this. I kind of like it. So look at this pattern in here and up here. This pattern, which is very roughly done in here, this really brightens the whole picture. That is, she's laughing, and it makes the background almost laughs with her. So you could do something like this. You know, you could take the candle wax and do, that's what I did here, candle wax, and did little swirlies. You could do that on this if you wanted to. Oh, well, why don't I do it? Okay.